We've been talking a lot about sleep today, how to be sure you and your children are getting enough of it, and how to keep them safe while catching disease. But plenty of people of all ages deal with sleep disorders.
You have probably heard of insomnia, a condition that makes it difficult, if not impossible, to fall asleep. But have you ever heard the term hypersomnia? People with hypersomnia, or sleeping beauty syndrome, as it's called, have the opposite problem. They have a hard time waking up. Now, you may feel like you have this problem some days, but it's much more than just being overtired. It's a serious health concern. And researchers are working to understand hypersomnia's cause so they can finally put the issue to bed.
Hey, Di.
Diana Kimmel was a photographer, medical billing specialist, and a mom. For years, she blamed her extreme exhaustion on a hectic lifestyle until her body shut down.
Too tired to go to kids' soccer games. Feeling like it wasn't safe to drive, making huge mistakes on work.
Diana spent 5 years trying to get a diagnosis. All the time, her need for hours of sleep was sharply on the rise.
I would be up to 15, 16. I would sleep all night long. I would wake up, and by 9, 10 o'clock, I was back in bed.
Dr. David Rice says hypersomnia is much more intense than feeling a little groggy first thing.
That feeling of that fog being there isn't going to go away with a cup of coffee.
Dr. Ryan and colleagues at the Emory University Sleep Center are studying hypersomnia. They've identified a possible cause in some patients by testing cerebrospinal fluid.
Their body is producing a small protein, or what's called a peptide, that essentially mimics the effects of sleeping pills or anesthesia.
Researchers are testing a drug that's already FDA approved to treat an overdose of sedatives. It's called flumazenil. Patients rub it into their skin like a lotion or put it under their tongue like a lozenge.
I did see a notable difference after 3 days. Noticeable.
Diana says she's not completely back to normal, but alert enough to get her life back.
For me, that was like, I won a gold medal.
Dr. Rice says about 75% of the patients who came to the sleep center complaining of symptoms of hypersomnia tested positive for the peptide in the cerebrospinal fluid, and about half of those patients who used flumazenil responded to the treatment.
Well, for many of us, it's that we're just not getting enough rest or the proper rest while we are asleep. And when the morning comes, it can be difficult to get up and get through a full day after that. Of course, as adults, many of us drink coffee or tea to get that jolt in the morning. But according to Madeline Van with Everyday Health, there are a few things you can do to help naturally wake yourself up in the morning. She says it's important to know your circadian rhythm, meaning you want to wake up at 7 a.m., but 7 a.m. on the dot might be right in the middle of your sleep cycle. If you can't track it on your own, a smartphone app titled Sleep Cycle Alarm Clock could help monitor your sleep and allow you to wake up at the perfect time for your body. Also, Madeline says, know why you want to wake up. Studies have shown that if you have something to look forward to, you're more likely to wake up with more energy. Power down all electronics before you go to bed. Eliminating the use of gadgets right before you fall asleep makes for a more restful night's sleep. And finally, experts say to keep the same schedule all week long. So if you head to bed at 9 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. each weekday, it's important to maintain that on the weekends as well. You hear that, Jimmy?
Yes, ma'am. Know your schedule.
Yes.
Know your schedule. Well, running a tight training schedule has helped develop champions in the ring, but still ahead on DelmarvaLife, and here on Delmarva, you can't talk boxing champions without talking about Hal Chernoff, a boxing trainer who doesn't limit his advice to what goes on inside the ring. You're going to find out how what he's teaching here helps young people once they get out into the real world.
And later, we're getting some help in the DelmarvaLife kitchen. We're learning to make a delicious summer appetizer, crab bruschetta.
But first, it is time for our second clue in today's search for Striker. All right, Sean, let's hear it.
All right, guys, listen up. Before this town was incorporated in 1953, it was run by a type of homeowner association. All right, well, I still have one more clue for you, and I really think it's going to help you out. Don't go away. DelmarvaLife will be right back.